Good day everyone, we are the Group 7 from BSE2. I'm Gladys Joy A. Cedeno and they are my group mates. We will be discussing the steps in constructing assessment tools under the development of classroom assessment tools for measuring learning outcomes. There are 8 steps in constructing assessment tools.
Good day, everyone. Maria Abigail Chisaga, your reporter for today. So the topic that I've discussed is all about to examine the instructional objectives of the topics previously discussed. So what is all about instructional objectives? According to Kibler, Kegla, Barker, and Miles of 1974, instructional objective is a statement that will describe what the learner will be able to do after completing the instruction. So, an instructional objective is a focal point of a lesson plan. Instructional objective is a focal point of a lesson plan, objectives that are a foundation upon which you can build a lessons and assessments and instruction that you can prove meet your overall course or a lesson goals. Instructional objectives are also specific, measurable, short-term, observable student behaviors. They indicate the desirable, the knowledge, the skills, and the attitudes to be gained. So the purpose of objectives is not to restrict spontaneity or constrain the vision of education in the discipline, but to ensure that learning is focused clearly enough, that both students and teachers know what is going on. So learning can be objectively measured. So in summary, goals and objectives guide all teaching, learning, and assessment. So here are the 3 questions. Why, how, and when? First, why? It is the purpose of a behavioral objectives to communicate. Therefore, a well-constructed behavioral objective should leave little room for doubt about what is intended. It says, objectives communicate and guide development of assessment, instructional methods, and content materials. Second one, objectives communicate the focus of learning that enables instructors and students to work toward a common goal. So in these 2 topics, we have says that the teacher can use objectives to make sure goals are reached. So the students will understand expectations. Early skills is learned more effectively if the learner understands the reason for learning and practicing it. So the third one, objectives. Objectives communicate the assessment and grading. Objectives provide a means of measuring whether the students have succeeded in acquiring skills and knowledge. So the fourth one, objectives. Why? Is the objectives communicate and allow students the opportunity for self-evaluation. So the second question is how. How it says, it is the instructional objectives must be written to communicate realistic, measurable, and learner-centered outcomes. So, number 1 is all about realistic objectives can be achieved by the learners within your time frame in your given environment. Next, measurable objectives enable you to observe and to determine how well learners have acquired skills and knowledge. Third one, learner-centered objectives state what the learner can do at the end of training. They always start with action verbs. So the last one is specify intended results of outcomes, and the process teaching and lecturing is a part of the process of instruction but isn't the purpose of the instruction, or the purpose is to facilitate learning. So the last one question is all about when. When? Here are the objectives should be developed. First, before a lesson or a course is developed by a designer. Second, before a lesson or course is taught by instructor. And the third one, objectives of when. Objectives should be reviewed with the students at the beginning of the course, module, and lesson.
Second, make a table of specifications or TOS. Before we start on how to create this table, let me define what is the table of specification. The table of specifications or TOS is a tool used to ensure that a test or assessment measures the content and think skills that the test intends to measure. It is a table that shows the topics that will be covered on a test. It is also very important in addressing the reliability and validity of test items. There are 5 steps in preparing the table of specifications. First step is selecting the learning outcomes to be measured. In this step, we will identify the necessary instructional objectives needed to answer the test items correctly. The list of the instructional objectives will include the learning outcomes in the areas of knowledge, intellectual skills or abilities, general skills, attitudes, interest, and appreciation. Next step, make an outline of the subject matter to be covered in the test. The length of the test will depend on the areas covered in its content and the time needed to answer. Third step, decide on the number of items per subtopic. Use this formula to determine the number of items to be constructed for each subtopic covered in the test so that the number of items each topic should be proportional to the number of class sessions. Fourth, construct the format. And lastly, the 5th step, construct the test items. A classroom teacher should follow the general principle of constructing the test items. The test item should always correspond with the learning outcome so that it serves whatever purpose it may have. There are different formats on how to create the table of specifications. Each format has these 3 indicators. First, type of test item. It identifies the type or kind of test item belongs to. Next is the item number. Simply identifies the question number as it appears in the test. Third, the total points. Summarize the score given to a particular test. Let's move on to format number 1. Format number 1 is the easiest format to construct the table of specifications. As you can see, it only consists of 5 indicators: the specific objectives, cognitive level, type of test, item number, and the total points. Next, we have the format 2 or the one-way table of specifications. The upper portion, as we can see, consists of contents, number of sessions, number of items, cognitive level, and the test item distribution. Next is the format 3 or the two-way table of specifications. It consists of content, class sessions, Krathwohl's cognitive level, total items, and item distribution.
Construct the test items. Guidelines on constructing the test items. Number 1 is begin with writing the items for enough or in advance so that you will have the time to revise them. Number 2, match items to intended outcomes at appropriate level of difficulty to provide valid measure of the instructional object. Number 3, be sure that each item deals with the important aspects of content area and not with trivia. Number 4, be sure that the problem focus is clear and unambiguous. Number 5. Be sure that the term is independent with all other items. Number 6. Be sure that the items has one or best answer as which experts would agree. Number 7. Prevent uninvented clues to an answer in the statement or question. Number 8 is avoid replication of the textbook in writing text items. Do not quote directly from the textual materials. Avoid tricks or catch question in an achievement test. And lastly, try to write items that require higher order thinking skills.
Take note, the number of items for each level will depend on the skills the teacher wants to develop in his students. In the case of tertiary level, the teacher must develop more higher order thinking skills questions. For elementary and secondary levels, the guidelines in constructing tests will be as stipulated in the DepEd Order 33 Series 2004 must be followed. That is, factual information 60%, moderately difficult or more advanced questions 30%, and HATS 10% for distinguishing honor students.
Assemble the test or test assembling. Test assembling means record test items, review test items, arrange test items. Items should be arranged according to types. Yes, it is needed. Next, items should be arranged in order to difficulty. Easy to difficulty, it is arrangeable. Next, items of the same subject matter content may be grouped together. Next one, we have the principle of test construction. First, avoid understandable, small, meaningless, and confusing items. Yes, it is needed to avoid understandable, hindi maiintindihan ng mga estudyante mo. So, you need also to avoid meaningless. You need also to avoid small statement or yung hindi kainti-intinding binibigay mong statement or test items. Next, observe the rules of expression, grammar, and punctuation. Yeah. So next one, avoid items that have no answer upon, which all experts will agree. Next, avoid trick or catch items. Avoid items which contain irrelevant clues. Avoid items which provide the answers to other items. Last one, all the pupils or all the students to take the same test and permit the chance among items. So we have the guidelines, the assemble the test items guidelines. We have the first, group all test items with a similar format. Yes, you need to group all items na naka-format siya so that madali lamang siyang maiintindihan sa pagkasunod-sunod. Next one, letter B, arrange test items from easy to difficult. C, space the test items for easy reading. D, keep items and option in the same page. E, place the illustrations near the description. F, check the answer key. You must need to check the answer key because it is important. G, decide where to record the answer. So, we have the developing test directions. We have to include, consider, sample items to avoid fairness, and the administrator directions help ensure consistency of test delivery. So, we have the 5 most commonly used test format. First, multiple choice. Yes, multiple choice. We know that one. Second one, true or false. Third one, the matching type. Fourth one is to fill in the blanks or the sentence completion. And the last one is essay type. So assessment format, true or false. The average time to answer the true or false is you need to give your student time to 30 seconds. Next, multiple choice 60 seconds. Multiple choice of higher level learning objectives is 90 seconds. Short answer is 120 seconds. Completion is 60 seconds. The matching type is the 30 seconds per responses. So short essay is 10 to 15 minutes. And extended essay is 30 minutes. And visual image is 30 seconds. So
Fifth step in constructing assessment tools is checking the assembled test items. Before reproducing the test, it is very important to proofread first the test items for typographical and grammatical errors and make necessary corrections if any.
Writing directions. When you are going to write a directions, be specific and clear. Check the test directions to each item to format to be sure that it is clear for the students to understand. The test directions should contain the number items to which they apply, how to record their answers, the basis of which they select the answers, and the criteria for scoring or the scoring items.
make the answer keys, or how to make answer keys a teaching tool. So, in all honesty, the hard part of this is not the practical reforms. It's true mindset shift for both teacher and students. So first, change how you make copies. If you have a student version separate from the answer keys, there's a transition period of reuniting them for each round of copies. Next, the first time, take a few minutes to explain to students why they have the keys and how to use them as a learning tool. So third, as students work and check their work, model how to engage the keys as a learning tool. For example, a student asks for a teacher. Student, will you check this? Teacher, you've got the answers here. I'll check the first couple with you. So the teacher said, okay, so your answer is different from the keys. Can you figure out why? And also repeat, this is a skill, it takes some practice.
The eighth and last step, analyze and improve the test items. Analyzing and improving the test items should be done after checkings, scoring, and recording the test.